So Tucker is sounding like different than he normally sounds. He sounds like, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I've never heard him so accusatory toward Trump. I think he's feeling very angry about this war and very distrustful of this president and his next move. And of course, Trump is striking out at him too. But there are two things he focused in on. I'm going to play you two sound bites. Yesterday on the show, we talked about Trump's Easter tweet, the FUCKIN apostrophe straight on Easter. And my own theory was he was trying to call attention to it. When he talks like that, it'll get more attention, and he's having difficulty getting all the attention he wants on his True Social posts these days. That one did it. I think the reference to Allah was like the day earlier he had said, "Glory be to God," something to that effect. So I don't know, but maybe I'm giving him too much credit. Tucker had a different take, and here's that in SOT 9.
Who do you think you are? You're tweeting out the F word on Easter morning? You'll be living in hell. Just watch. Praise be to Allah. So obviously you're mocking the religion of Iran. Okay. If you seek a religious war, that's a good idea. But by the way, no decent person mocks other people's religions. You may have a problem with the theology. Presumably you do if it's not your religion, and you can explain what that is. But to mock other people's faith is to mock the idea of faith itself, and we should never mock that. This is a mockery not just of Islam, it's a mockery of Christianity. To send out a tweet with the F word on Easter morning promising the murder of civilians and then saying praise be to Allah without explaining any of it, you are mocking me and every other Christian because we're Christian.
Okay, that was point one. And then here was point two on whether Trump might be getting ready to use some weapon of mass destruction on Iran. SOT 10.
So unless somebody puts the brakes on right away, we're going to wind up in a place that we can't even imagine. Not just Iran, us and the rest of the world. And so that means, because this is obvious to anyone who's paying any attention, that if you work in the White House or in the U.S. military, now it's time to say no, absolutely not. And say it directly to the president, no. In case you're thinking about using some weapon of mass destruction against the population of Iran, in whose name we liberated Iran, we killed their religious leader for their benefit. Do you remember that? This was last month. Those people who are in direct contact with the president need to say, no, I'll resign. I'll do whatever I can do legally to stop this because this is insane. And if given the order, I'm not carrying it out. Figure out the codes on the football yourself because everything hangs in the balance right now.
It was extraordinary. And by the way, I should point out that second comment, all those comments happened before Trump's 8:06 a.m. tweet today, Truth Social, saying a whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. That's where Tucker was before he heard that comment. I mean, he's actually talking about potentially depriving Trump of the nuclear football codes. And he sounds a little like, some of those Democrats who were talking about how you have the obligation to disobey an illegal order if it's given. He sounds like he's worried Trump's about to give one of those as well, like to bomb civilian infrastructure or, God forbid, drop a nuke on an entire country. So your thoughts, Glenn?
I think there's several points that are worth making about this. I was a very vehement, outspoken, harsh critic of George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. It's why I went into journalism, was to oppose the war on terror and similar policies. But the one thing I think everybody gives credit for to George W. Bush, at least I do, and I think a lot of people, even his opponents at the time did, was right after 9/11, within days, he purposely went and visited several mosques around the country, met with imams, emphasized that we are not in a religious war with Islam, only with this group of people who have distorted a great religion. Even if it wasn't ethical and that was not his motive, and I think part of it was just pragmatically, of course you don't want to start a religious war with one of the largest and greatest religions on earth, which is Islam, because people will die for their religion. They'll die for their country. They'll die for their religion, especially. We have seen that throughout history. And if you make it a theocratic war where now President Trump is mocking Allah and Islam, that is remarkably dangerous and ill-advised. On top of that, yeah, and also we're supposed to be there to help these people who are Muslim, and yet at the same time we're mocking their religion. The other thing I want to say is, I just want to pause for a second about Tucker, and this applies to you too as well, Megyn, but I think in Tucker's case, it's so important to realize what he's done here. He had a very close relationship, personal relationship with Donald Trump. Trump admired him and considered him a friend. He was able to walk in and out of the White House. And he used that access not to monetize it or to make himself more influential or famous. He did it in every way possible to try and stop wars, including this war with Iran, going all the way back to last year. And he ended up sacrificing his access to the Trump White House, to his personal relationship with the president, as did you as well. And I do think it's important for people to understand how valuable that relationship is, that to sacrifice it for a cause that you believe in is incredibly admirable and noble. And I mean, I just, can't praise Tucker enough for that. And as for this concern, how can you not have the concern? I mean, Tucker was the voice saying we shouldn't be going into these wars. They're very dangerous. You're doing it for Israel. You're going to destroy your coalition. And then the kind of opposite pundit was Mark Levin, who has been loyal to Israel his whole life and totally maniacal. That's why he generates attention, right? Because he just screeches and screams and says the most insane, unhinged things. And yet, as it turns out, Trump has made very clear he's repudiating Tucker and heaping praise on Mark Levin and making clear that the person that everybody should listen to is Mark Levin. So Mark Levin is out there saying that Trump should use nuclear weapons against Iran, that he should be the new Churchill figure, that that's the only way to deal with it is like with Nazis. So if you're Tucker or any rational person, how do you dismiss that concern? Again, no one's saying Trump is going to use nuclear weapons at 8 p.m. tonight. I don't think he will. The problem is that once you get, even if there's like a 1% chance that might happen now or in the future or something equivalent, it's worth being extremely alarmed over because of the consequences. Like the worse a possible event is, the lower the threshold of probability there should be for you to really work against it. And I think that's what Tucker is doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, unfortunately, those two are definitely on the outs. I'm pretty sure I'm on the outs with Trump too. But Trump said,
of course,
Tucker's a low IQ person that has absolutely no idea what's going on. He calls me all the time. I don't respond to his calls. I don't deal with him. I like dealing with smart people, not fools. Okay. I mean, this follows on the tweet that he sent out about both of us saying we're not MAGA and now we're going to lose all of our viewers because Trump said we're not MAGA. That's not going to happen. We're both doing just fine. I think my audience never thought I was MAGA. Like I said all along, I'm MAGA adjacent, but I'm not MAGA. I'm an independent and I don't wear anybody's jersey, and that helps me do my job. But yeah, Tucker tried, and he has a fundamental and like sincerely held conviction that we are doing the wrong thing on this war. I shared that with him, but he's become a chief spokesperson against it. And so Trump is now, I guess, out to destroy Tucker, which is just ridiculous, and to elevate Levin. He wants everyone to watch Mark Levin's show. It's not working. Mark Levin's show is very poorly rated. His podcast is poorly rated. I mean, literally, the podcast's not even on the map. Like, no, you can't even find it if you want it. It's never toward the top of anything. No matter what the president does, he cannot get it up in the podcast ratings, much like the host of the show. Sorry, I went there. I don't know. I kind of set myself up for it. Okay. Then there are the bloodthirsty, not just Levin. Here's this. You probably know this guy a lot better than I do. This Representative Randy Fine, he's a disgusting warmonger. This guy tweeted out yesterday, "Happy power plant and bridge eve. Sounds like some Allahu Akbars coming their way behind you and our warfighters. 1,000%, Mr. President." This guy's a sick fucker. Sorry, I'm trying to clean up my language in the wake of Easter. But he's a sick dude, Glenn. What about this Randy Fine? And then there's Lindsey Graham, too, which, do we have that on tape, the Lindsey Graham latest? Yeah, I think we do. It's SOT 6. Listen.
So I'm very optimistic that President Trump's going to bring this regime to an end one way or the other. I prefer diplomacy. But this time tomorrow night, they're either going to do a deal that makes sense for the world and the region and for Iran itself, or we're going to blow them up. How many times do you have to be told by Trump, I'm going to do something to you, and he actually does it before you believe it? So this is a defining moment in the history of the Mideast.
Just once again, so which is it? How many times does he have to prove to you he's going to do what he threatens before you believe it? And then you have Mark Levin tweeting out the Selena Zito quote about take Trump seriously, but not literally. Which is it? The neocons need to get their stories straight. Glenn, back to you.
Megyn, these people are nothing short of psychotic. And for as long as I have been in contact with and observing and interacting with the MAGA movement, Lindsey Graham was supposedly the representation of everything sick and evil in the world that needed to be purged from the Republican Party and from American life, because he obviously takes some kind of deep, twisted psychological joy in watching other people go and blow up human beings and their lives. He talks in those terms all the time. And yet Lindsey Graham has emerged as definitely the most influential Republican senator when it comes to Trump's foreign policy. It's basically like a Lindsey Graham festival. Everything he's ever dreamed of, he's now getting. And he talks about that and says it explicitly, like, we're killing these people, we're killing them the right way. As far as Randy Fine is concerned, he's like a caricature of what you're not supposed to talk about if you don't want to be accused of being anti-Semitic. This is somebody who has openly had extreme loyalty to Israel, not to the United States, but to Israel his whole life. When he was a Florida state legislature, he had the Israeli flag all over his office, goes there all the time, talks about Israel constantly. And, when I was on Tucker's show, this is like late 2023, early 2024, when I went to his studio in Maine, he raised Randy Fine because Randy Fine talked about how the Israelis and the United States and Americans should be nuking Gaza the way we did in World War II. And Tucker was genuinely shocked at how somebody who calls for something like that, he was saying things like, I love watching children in Gaza bleed, more of this, starve them to death. Tucker was saying, how can anybody so unhuman and just like indecent and evil and just a psychopath be welcomed in the Republican Party? And yet, of course, he's jovial and festive about what's happening, because this is a war against Israel's main adversary, with Donald Trump threatening to do what Israel has long wanted, which was basically blow Iran off the map, render them just a shattered society that is completely dysfunctional, that's ruled by segregated militias like Syria and Libya were after we were done with those countries. And Trump seems to be on the path of doing exactly that, even though everything Trump said before this was about how we should never do anything like this. So all the people who were never Trumpers, who were supporting DeSantis, who hated Trump for a long time, they're the ones who got everything they wanted, and the hardcore America First people.
Thanks for watching this clip. If you're new here, subscribe. We got a whole lot more goodness where that came from. Would love to hear your feedback. You can email me too, Megyn, MEGYN, at megynkelly.com, or just leave a comment below. But join the community by becoming a subscriber. We really, really value your input and your support. We may not always agree, but we are always going to talk about it and respect. No BS, no agenda, no fear. When the dollar's convertibility into gold ended in 1971, gold was fixed at $35 an ounce. Fast forward to today, and the U.S. dollar has lost more than 85% of its purchasing power. Gold, on the other hand, has increased in value by over 12,000%. That's why major firms like Vanguard and BlackRock hold significant positions in gold. And that's why you may want to consider diversifying your savings with physical gold from Birch Gold Group. It starts with education. Birch Gold just announced their Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. This free online event rewards you for learning the basics of investing in precious metals. Sign up to get free silver on your next purchase. Get even larger incentives as you go. The more you learn, the more you can earn. But you have to act now, as this special event only runs through April 30th. Text my initials, MK, to the number 989898 to see Birch Gold's Learn and Earn Precious Metals event. You can join it as long as you do it before April 30th. That's MK to the number 989898 today.